5 minutes?
Yep. We give them 5 minutes.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to open up the Morrisville Municipal Authority, Borough of Morrisville, Water and Sewer meeting. Can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can I have the roll call, please, Beth?
Jane Berger. Here. Victor Cicero.
Absent, but he is excused.
Excused. Jeffrey Johnson.
Here.
Ted Parker. Here. Debbie Smith. Here. John Morenda. Ann Porter. Sorry, Jane. Bob Campbell.
Here.
Chris Harris.
Here.
Beth Hawes. Here. Roy Snare.
Here.
Scott Hawes.
All right. Just note that John's running a little late,
Scott's here.
or Mr. Warenda. Okay, can I have a motion for the approval of the minutes for September 19th, 2019?
So moved. Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Hearing of the public, Mr. Minder?
Yes, good evening. This is Bill Minder from 423 Crown Street. It's been a year now since they paved Crown Street, and they still haven't fixed the street in front of my house. If you would have come down here this morning, you would have seen like it was like a swamp. All the water, all the leaves, all the dirt that come down from last night's storm. So I just want to know, I'm down here for, what, 9 months now, and I'm asking when are we going to get this fixed?
Go ahead, John.
Mr. Minder, I promised you we'd take care of it in the fall, and we will.
Okay.
I know it's now fall,
Yeah.
but we have 2 different paving contractors that we deal with. I don't know if we're going to have...
Well, I talked to the foreman from Morrissey, be 2 weeks tomorrow.
Okay.
And he said he would look at trying to do something with it when they came in to pave the state roads, when they're in town.
Yeah.
He said he'd come in to do that then. I have no idea when they're coming in to do that, though.
When it comes, I'd like to make sure that he tells me so I get my cars out of the road.
Mr. Minder, I don't want to promise you a time, and I really haven't been. We are paving roads in the fall.
Maybe a Christmas present, huh?
Well, maybe a little before that if we can. But as I said, we have a paving contractor that works is a subcontractor for Passerini. Those are the guys that are doing the water work for us. They didn't do the original work on Crown Street, so Morrissey was really the one we got to have come back in to take a look at it. I promise you, we will do something with it, but I'm not promising you a time because I don't have control
come
of
down and bother you, I mean, I know you'd love to see me.
You can come see me twice a month, once at a meeting and once downstairs in the office. Okay?
When you pay your bill.
I paid the bill, I paid the bill.
I don't mind, and we didn't forget about it.
Yeah.
But it's just, it is a timing.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking about what had happened.
You're concerned about icing?
No, I mean, why it got like it was.
Oh, okay.
They stopped at the corner, Henderson and Crown, for lunch or something. And when they started up, they probably didn't have enough asphalt or something in the machine as they started up. We were the first couple of feet of the start up for the afternoon or whenever it was. Because I was out there, wonder why the intersection was so bad, or tied up. But that's just my opinion, so, of why it happened.
Always glad to see you, Mr.
I know. I'm still on my 2 feet, so,
It's a good thing.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill.
And have a nice weekend.
Thank you, Bill.
And you notice I come down early this time. Last month, your meeting was a week ahead of time. On account of the way the calendar fell.
Oh, yeah, we were before.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it gets, it fools some of us.
Yeah, fooled me once.
It actually fools us sometimes.
All right, thank you very much.
Take care, Bill.
Right.
David May, 187 Center Street. I was just wondering if John, maybe...
About paving,
If you have an update on our build-out. I haven't heard anything recently about that.
on Center Street.
No, the build-out with the MMA and the...
Oh, the water plant, or the sewer plant, water plant. You're not getting the water plant. I'll tell you what, I can talk about it a little bit now, or do you want to wait for reports?
You can go and address the question.
I'll try to give you the 5,000 foot view. We actually had a meeting this morning, not with anyone outside the MMA, but Tom Jennings, who's special counsel for us on this project, Bob Campbell, our engineer. Basically, we're looking to sign an agreement of sale, we hope, before 12/31 to purchase property down at Kipsey, the steel site, U.S. Steel site. We've been negotiating with them for a couple of years now and had a letter of intent to do that. The complication remains who is going to continue to use our sewer plant services in the long run. So without getting into the politics of the situation, our plan is to, one way or the other, present a 537 plan, which is required by law. It's basically the municipal sewage plan to DEP that proposes either a 5 million gallon per day or a 10 million gallon per day facility, depending upon what we know as of 12/31, Laura Makefield may or may not do. The long and short of it is that we will have an agreement of sale to purchase the property. It will be contingent, there'll be conditions precedent to closing. We won't have to close for at least a year and maybe into the second year. But during that time, we'll have the opportunity, I hope, to resolve exactly what the look and design of the plant will be. That's the 5,000 foot version, I guess.
Good summary.
There will be a
Yeah,
plant,
that's good.
and it will be at the steel site.
Okay.
A lot of moving parts.
A lot of moving parts,
Yes.
and we are working on it.
Thank you for that.
Thank you, John.
Dave, if you want to come talk to me about it in more detail, I can talk to you about it. But I just, I could
I
spend.
hadn't heard about it in a while, so
Okay.
that 5,000 foot view is perfect.
Well, I mean, we had a meeting this morning involving one of the pieces, so.
Ongoing. All right, I'm going to close the hearing of the public with no further public to address. Water plant operations report, Chris Harris.
Anybody has any questions, I'll answer them at this time.
Everything's fine? All this is routine maintenance?
Pretty much.
Good. Pazzarini's done? With all the water main
The water main work is done. We have paving work still, but
How are we doing with the flushing? Because you got a lot of rain and today's wind.
we actually finished up what we needed to do yesterday before, I should say, as it started to rain. And the wind wasn't a factor for us flushing today, so we're right on schedule.
I did my wash on Sunday.
Good job.
I think my neighborhood's next on the list.
No, we did you
Did you?
yesterday.
I didn't. I missed you. I
Yeah.
just looked for you guys.
Me here yesterday, early.
It must have been early, yeah, before the rain started.
It
Thank
was,
you for that.
so.
Yes.
Any other questions? All right, moving on, water distribution report. Chris Harris.
I'll answer any questions anybody has on that.
Looks like you've been busy.
Refresh my memory on a Top Nut Corp. That's
That's the corporation that comes off the water main. When you tap the main, it's basically a valve that's basically drilled and screwed into the water main. And what happens a lot of times with the older ones, they actually have like a 45 or a 90 that'll come off so they can run it towards the curb. And what happens is, a lot of times as they sit for a while, either vibration or just deterioration, that sometimes the washers go bad in them and they'll start leaking.
And so you find them as the leak comes to the surface?
Unless you hear it. And we had one on Washington Street that wasn't coming to the top, but we had neighbors actually complain about noise and.
You hear it in the pipes.
Always learn something new.
It's not a gusher out in the street. You hear it.
I know, it had to say
You hear it.
something different, yeah.
The sound is transmitted through the pipes.
And the Melvin Avenue main that was cracked is repaired with a clamp. And
Regular.
And that's not a temporary fix,
That's a permanent fix.
It.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, moving on. We'll go to the sewer plant operations report. Scott Haas.
Everybody has a copy of Rick's report. Hopefully be able to answer any questions.
No breakdowns?
No, we've actually been pretty good for the most part. Just doing a lot of cleanup. Everything's running pretty well. We are running into that nitrite problem, nitrite problem, which is causing the uptake in our chlorine costs.
That's the hypochlorine.
That's the hypo, which I'm sure Bob's probably going to speak about.
Is that something, because I'm new on this, is it normal for that to happen, whether you need extra of that hypochlorite, or it's just maybe extra rain and water that affects that? So is
Bob, I'm going to move a little forward if you want to explain that.
It's been a little bit more involved than what we thought. So there's a lot of things that contribute to increased chlorine usage. And so we started looking at our data and the data that we get from our leachate pilot program. Waste Management takes a lot of additional samples as part of that. And trying to determine what could be eating the chlorine. We looked at ammonia levels. That didn't seem to make a lot of sense. The next thing we focused on was nitrogen, and there's really two forms that we look at as nitrates, which is NO3, and nitrites, which is NO2. Nitrites are often an issue. So the lab went out and purchased the reagents in order to be able to run samples of nitrates and nitrites. What the samples showed is that nitrite elevations are elevated going through the secondaries. So the next thing we need to find out is why.
Okay.
We've been looking at a lot of different things. I mean, we were looking at possibly Eco Remedy and what they're putting into the system as being a source. They've now been shut down for, they started back up today after being shut down for nearly 3 weeks.
You saw that in the report.
Did not seem to see any issues. We didn't see any difference, right? Our nitrite levels continued to be elevated. The 1 milligram per liter of nitrite requires 5 milligrams per liter of hypochlorite in order to stabilize it. So a little uptick in nitrite creates a big problem.
Okay.
We were typically down around 1 or 2 with our nitrites coming in, and we're up about 4 right now is what we're seeing.
So it's just something you're monitoring to figure out what...
Well, we're continuing to monitor. Right now, we're trying to look at whether or not we have issues with chlorides coming in. Chlorides typically we look at with TDS. And that is something that we monitor for mainly because it's in the leachate. We haven't seen increased levels in the leachate. What we do know is that CSC sugar also contributes high levels of chlorides due to their ion exchange system. When they back flush that, what comes out of that is high levels of chlorides and which presents itself as TDS. So as of this evening, we've asked that they don't send us the backwash water.
Right.
And we'll see if that has an impact. So
Changes it.
hopefully, we can finally get this resolved, because it's been going on for a couple of months now with, with this issue, and,
Okay.
Is that good, Deb?
Yeah, just want to, I noticed it on there, if there was any reason it was happening.
so with eating it all, the chlorine, we start seeing elevated levels of fecal coliform,
Okay,
not to the level where we're exceeding yet, but we're.
I don't think we've exceeded it at all.
No,
Still in compliance.
yeah,
okay,
but it certainly is up, it certainly is elevated.
thank you.
Any other questions for the sewer plant operations report? With no further questions, we'll move on to payment of the bills. 6A, payment of the final September water bills in the amount of $78,615.36, and the October bills in the amount of $80,489.06, as set forth in the bill payment report for the total amount of $159,104.42. Could I have a motion, please?
So moved.
I will conduct a voice vote. Can you take the voice vote, please, Beth?
Ms. Berger?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes,
Motion passes. All right, we'll move on to 6B, payment number 4, valve insertion projects in the amount of $22,008.60. Could I have a motion, please?
So moved.
second,
Can I have a voice vote, please?
Ms. Berger?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
yes,
All right, motion passes. We'll move to 6C, payment number 6, 2019 water main replacement project in the amount of $61,124.40. Could I have a motion, please?
second,
You heard the motion. Can I have a voice vote, please?
Ms. Berger?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
yes,
Yes. Motion passes. We'll move on to 6D.
Change order.
Pardon me?
Change order.
Oh, yes. Change order number 2, contract W40 for 2019 water main replacement deduction of $20,132.00. Could I have a motion, please?
So moved.
second,
Can I have a voice vote, please?
Ms. Berger?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
yes,
Motion passes. 6E, another change order, number 2, contract W41, 2019 valve insertion project, deduction of $1,258.00. Could I have a motion, please?
so moved,
Second.
Can I have a voice vote, please?
Ms. Berger?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
yes,
Okay.
Thank the engineer for the recommendations for all of this were in his report for us.
yeah,
Yes, I mean, it was very
detailed,
detailed. I mean, I had to look at it when I saw a deduction, and saying, where is this at? And, you know, working through it, thank you, Bob. 6F, payment of the final September sewer bills in the amount of $70,878.03, and the October bills in the amount of $54,365.89, as set forth in the bill payment report for the total amount of $125,243.92. Could I have a motion, please?
So moved.
second,
You've heard the motion. Can I have a voice vote, please?
I just had one question, a little ticky thing for John. What's the ICE lab? I see, it's not a lot of money, but it just kind of, I couldn't figure it out. I know you're not dealing with immigration.
I
think that was ice for
It actually is in there.
I think they were purchasing ice for samples.
$8, $9.
Just $3.99.
Oh,
So it really was
lab.
ice.
It was ice for the
Okay,
lab,
okay.
yes. Sorry.
That's okay, because he has,
I don't know what the ice lab is.
That's when our samplers
okay, ice samples for the lab.
Yeah, when our
Got it,
when our
okay.
samplers broke, they have to put ice in there to cool it down.
Thank you, okay.
Voice vote, please, Beth.
Ms. Berger?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Motion passes. 6G, payment number 5, belt press building roof replacement project in the amount of $48,669.00. Could I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions on the amount?
This pays it off.
All right. Can I have a voice vote, please, Beth?
Ms. Berger?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
All right, motion passes. We'll move on to our reports. The engineer's report.
Thank you. The leachate levels right now are at 70,000 gallons per day based on the inflow flow rate. We already talked about the chlorine levels being higher and different things that we're looking at with that. We have another issue that the DEP has informed us regarding an underground storage tank that was removed 2 years ago under the contract with AC Scott for the installation of the generator. It turned out that the removal contractor that he subcontracted to was not properly certified to remove the underground storage tank. So I've been keeping, it's been ongoing now for a little while. The DEP just issued us a violation notice on this the other day. We've been in discussions with a couple different tank removal companies to see what we can do to get this certified after the fact. I mean, there's nothing there. We could excavate down, but now we've extended out the slab, so it's in the vicinity of the slab. So if we excavate down, we could be undermining the slab in order to get them what they need to see. We'd have to over-excavate in order to satisfy the...
Is there remediation that's required, Bob?
No, so it was done, yeah, everything was done properly. All the manifests are in place, all the soil samples were taken. Everything that was done was all in order and all the information is there. The one problem we have is that the contractor was not certified. So it's not as if...
Subcontract.
That was AC Scott's sub.
Yes, AC Scott sub. ASK the plumber is,
ASK?
ASK.
You sure? It's not ASS?
No,
ASK Plumber.
yeah, ASK the plumber.
Ask the plumber.
ASK are his initials.
Yeah. It's a play on the,
All right. Is Scott holding you up on anything? Any documents that he needs?
He's going back to, he sent us everything that we have. I mean, the problem we have is it was performed by a certified, it was not performed by a certified plumber,
What
which,
kind of storage tank was it? Oil?
diesel.
The problem we have is no company will just give us, will sign off on it. They want to go in and do all the work themselves. So basically, it's redoing it. We talked to Bayard, we talked with another couple local. They're just not comfortable with putting their license on the line for another company.
I totally understand. Yep.
the problem is it's done.
So would they be talking about like excavating it again to a point to see that it was done? Is that what you're
That's-
talking about doing?
Might have to redo the whole thing again.
That's ultimately what they would have to do, is excavate the area.
And that cost will be incurred by who?
That's why I've been going back to AC Scott on this and telling him to find a resolution.
Okay.
Because it was their subcontract.
It was their
Yeah.
subcontractor.
Should be held to
Now, the
that.
DEP will also go after Ask Plumber as well. That was,
Yeah, he was, yeah,
so they'll get a notice of violation, have to do all their due diligence.
right.
Because they did work that they should have had a license and they should have known about it.
They weren't licensed at all.
Wow.
He had a expired license for an above-ground storage tank after being told that everything was in place and the permits were in place. He had an expired license for an above-ground storage tank installation in New Jersey. He since has gotten that license renewed, but it's an above-ground storage tank and it's in New Jersey, where we are an underground storage tank in Pennsylvania, which he does not have a license to complete that work.
Thank you, Bob. Any more?
John already mentioned where the status of the wastewater plant. We got a notice this week from the EPA regarding our pre-treatment report. They asked for some additional information regarding our 2018 pre-treatment report, so we're preparing a response to that. I already brought up the CSC concern that we have right now. Whatever was done, and we have plans for Penwood Crossing expansion. So those are on my desk to review and expand that system. It's like 82 additional units.
That should actually improve their flow issues?
I would think it would be an improvement to their hydrochloride, hydrogen sulfide issues. The increased flow, it's not going to sit in the pipe creating sulfides. So they also sent over to us a draft report summarizing their pilot program and the use of, they had a bubbler system in and they were adding hydrogen peroxide to their discharge. So their expert prepared a report and sent that over today. I haven't had a chance to go through it.
It'd be interesting to see how that's working out for them.
It seems to be going all right. The results they have on a regular basis seem to be pretty good. Our results, we're also doing some sampling periodically out there, and our results vary. We're all over the place with what we see as far as getting our grab samples, and theirs are relatively consistent. We'll get a 4 one day, and then the next time we get a 1. Their results seem to be on a daily basis relatively consistent from what I've seen over time. So I'm not sure why we get varying results.
Does the location of the grab make any difference?
Believe we're taking them in the same spot. It's at the discharge, or at
Same spot every day.
Not us, but
yes.
same spot they take
I
it?
believe we take them in the same spot they take it, yeah.
A lot of times we're taking them at the same time.
Oh.
Wow, someone's not
So
testing
it's, yeah,
like
we're
that.
testing for DO levels and we're getting different DO ratings. So we'll go back and compare some of these, but see where they are. We haven't seen anything though that's been consistently high. It's been consistently
Fluctuating.
Yeah, it's been fluctuating, but it's generally fairly low. Backwash controls, continuing to receive submittals on that and going back and forth with the contractor a little bit. They're mainly just doing their programming, getting the entire system set up in order to do the installation. I don't have a date yet for them to do that installation, but that'll be well into...
Is the logic coming along with the integration?
Yes. Yeah, so they're doing all the logic, building the panels, that whole thing. So that's all getting accomplished now for the SCADA, so it gets updated into the SCADA system, so they've got to build all that in. Filter rehab, we are working on getting that done to get that out the door. That should be out before, it'll be out before the end of the year. Traveling screen is just one item I think left on that, which is the level monitor on our raw water line. So I think that's the only thing outstanding for them to address on that. We're still holding a decent amount of money on that.
Why can't they get the elevation monitors, or is that a problem with them?
It's the type of monitor that they provided wasn't adequate. So what they provided had too large of a cone, and basically, the viewpoint of the transducer that they provided was out too wide. It needed to be more narrow in order to fit into the tank that we have. So that was the issue. We raised that with them. It's been, 9 months ago, close to a year ago now, about replacing that. They agreed to replace it, it just hasn't been done, so, not sure. I'll follow up with them again, I followed up with them last week.
Should be pretty, a pretty common item to get, I mean.
Right, yeah, I mean, we selected it, I mean, they gave us some options, we were like, this is the one, and so, I mean, we thought it was a done deal, they just haven't provided and replaced it yet.
I mean, the parameter of the device, it's not adjustable, is it?
No, it's not.
With a gain or a reduction?
No, it's not adjustable.
Okay.
So it's a completely different head on it, so. Lastly, and is this under new business, or are we doing this? Is the
AMI?
The AMI system. So we received, we sat down and went through the various systems. Talked to 6 or 7 different suppliers on this, and through the discussions narrowed it down to 2 suppliers based on compatibility with the existing system and the method of operation. Some of them are, each meter acts as a repeater, some of them are, they require a bunch of repeaters throughout the system. Some of them are cellular as opposed to radio, which you then have to pay a cellular fee for the use. We had a bunch of, we compared prices on them, or ballpark prices of their base system. And when it came down to it, we evaluated Master Meter and Census and put together a CoStar's request for price quotes. So they provided their price quotes through CoStar's. So this essentially is the bidding method. This is procurement only. The prices came in at 900 and, what was that, 15, is it on there?
We have 903.
903, 367.95.
Was Census and Master Meter, right, so that's through Core and Main, and the Master Meter came in at about 945, I believe is the number.
Yes.
The Census has another option with it, since we already have a bunch of, well, our entire system is built out with Census and we have touch reads. What their system allows us to do is connect a radio right onto the touchpad. So where it's feasible and it fits on there, it just snaps right on the outside, which means we don't need to go in and change out anything. We don't necessarily need to get into the houses. We can go snap this radio on and we automatically now are able to pick up the meter read through the radio. So really.
From the outside?
From the outside. So just, and all the radios reads get directed back to the office.
That's with another meter in place though, not the analog one,
Yeah,
right?
now it's the existing meter that's already in there is capable, so it has outputs on it. So already it has an output line going out to the touch read. So all it's doing is reading that touch read, and now it's sending it, so it's a 4 to 20 milliamp signal that now we're converting and sending through the radio.
Nice.
So there's a significant savings on using the Census for the installation. It's about half the price, is what they estimated, what Census gave us. A little more than half the price to do it that way.
So you don't have to replace every water meter?
So, yeah, Master Meter, it requires that you replace the meters. So Master Meter the radio itself is attached to the meter. So we have to replace every meter throughout the entire system.
Have you did the research on this one that you just snap on to see what, across the industry, what they say of how, the calibration and how accurate it actually is?
It reads the actual meter, yeah, I mean, the output's already there coming off the meter, so it's no different than trying to read the touch read. So it's sending the exact same, it's just taking that exact same signal that we get off of the touch read, and now it's, like I said, it's just converting that to to a radio and transmitting it now into the system.
And
So
we have repeaters with that, or, so that it goes back to,
they did a propagation study, and there's no requirement to have any repeaters. We would have one antenna, which I believe would be located on our elevated tank, and that's high enough that we're able to cover the entire system. The radios are strong enough that they're able to reach out through the trees, through everything, and be able to read it from that tower.
very good.
So,
That is good.
yeah. So if we want, we can award the contract to Core and Main for the purchase of the equipment. The other option is to, we could make it a proprietary item and bid it with the purchase with installation. So there's really two options on this. We could bid, allow the purchase and installation to be done at the same time, but we would make the lower cost item the proprietary item.
We have motions this evening.
Well, I set it up-
For 9A and 9B.
See, I don't-
I don't know how your recommendation now
Let me-
fits with the wording of those motions.
Let me explain. The form of the motions contemplates that we separately bid the installation. But it's something we can talk about right now, and based on Bob's recommendation, we can modify the motion 9A so in order to take into consideration the possibility of having it done as a fully CoStarz approved contract. I can take a minute to give us that alternative language if you want. Bob and I actually didn't talk about the motion language before the meeting. Should have, but we didn't.
Yeah, that'd actually be kind of nice to have that language, if that's what we're gonna do.
Well, I'll tell you what, carry on, let me just finish playing with this.
Okay.
And what we'll do, I think, is consolidate these motions into one that contemplates, that approves Core and Main and Census as the meter provider in the amount of the equipment supply bid, subject to receipt and approval both of contract documents and receipt and approval of either as an independently bid installation proposal or a CoStarz approved installation proposal from Core and Main.
Now, what,
And what I'll, just give me a second to put it into the Queen's English, and we'll do it that way. Okay? Because I think we want to lock in the the approved,
Yeah.
we want to lock in the submittal of Core and Main on the equipment.
right,
So, and I do want to be able to move ahead on this, so that before the next meeting, we can at least sign off on some of the contract documents and get Core and Main in here and get them started. And if necessary, have Bob either prepare bid documents or have Core and Main prepare
Right.
an addendum to the approval, so we can review that. And we can approve it if we do it that way in November, because they're not going to start doing this until after, probably in the spring.
right. Would there be enough bidders to be able to bid it that's knows these systems?
Yeah, this is a type of construction activity that's somewhat specialized. There are a handful of companies that sort of do this regionally throughout the United States. So you've got 3 or 4 companies that you'll find that do it in New York, New Jersey, Delaware, Pennsylvania, New England. It's sort of, they overlap territories, but we'll get probably 2 or 3 bidders for this type of work. It's not something that you're going to get a conventional mechanical contractor
Right.
or a conventional plumber to do.
Right, it's
they're not
actually
set for it.
specialized, I would think, with that type of device that goes onto this meter, and then actually the programming of it to be able to put it out into our
Well,
system.
the specialized part of it actually is the logistical side of it. With contacting residents in order, because we still have to go into about half of the houses to replace their meter and upgrade their meter, because their meters are so old. So it's the logistical side of it, of number one, every employee has to pass background checks and everything else. We can't be sending that out. We've got to have, all these certifications and making sure that everybody is, that we don't have issues with anybody.
Bid documents or the CoStar's contract documents.
Right.
So, I mean, they'll be part of the contract approvals that they have to submit to us.
It's going in, taking a picture of the existing meter that they're going to change out, getting a final read, putting the new meter in, getting a new read on that meter so we can transition from an old meter to a new meter, registering the serial number with the address, with the radio, putting all of that together. So it's really how they handle everything on the logistical side and the administrative side. That's what makes it a specialized thing. More than, outside of that, we could send a township guy or we could send an authority employee out and have him snap the radio on there and immediately start, download that. So if we go to do a change out at a later time, we do them one by one, it's no big deal. But we're trying to do 4,500 of them in a short period of time, and that's what makes it impossible to do something like that in-house. So
Totally understand that. Roy?
How's the tie-in with Edmonds?
I don't know how well I can explain it, because I'm not sure I understand. But there's a software, Edmunds has a software package that handles assimilation or collation of the data and preparation of bills, and then the actual billing and bookkeeping activity. All that's on the Edmunds side. The software that reports to, you basically have two software packages talking to each other.
They do talk, though.
They're compatible.
Yes. Yeah,
One-
so Core Main Census already has systems out there that operate on the Census platform, or on the Edmunds platform.
Okay.
So really what it does is, when you download it, it gets downloaded into a database, and then you just upload that database into Edmunds, and then it creates your invoices.
It's one of the reasons for ending up with Edmunds. I mean, we did some research, but basically I flat out asked everybody who came to us, Neptune, Census, Master Meter, Zenner. I said, what bookkeeping or accounting systems, what other software programs are you guys familiar with? And Edmunds was on everybody's tongue. And there were two or three that they knew about, everybody knew about, but the one that most often is referenced locally has been Edmunds, so.
So most experience with this, because they're doing a lot of the systems.
Yep. So, it basically was not a no-brainer, but, and of course, AMS said they could write software for it, but
No.
Kind of move on from that.
Yeah.
Okay.
They can write it, but it might not
debug it.
sync.
Yeah,
And we don't need that.
yeah.
so, no, we're pretty happy with the way it's evolved so far.
Okay, I'll give you a bit, and we'll move on. Solicitor's report, I guess we'll have to wait till next month. You have any insight on
Actually,
that, John?
I do have
She
one
did
thing.
say last month that she wouldn't be able to attend this month.
She did, she told us where she was going,
Yeah.
taking her mom to see family
Yes.
in Eastern Europe somewhere.
Yes.
I forget where. We do have some developments in the Solvay litigation that have to be addressed. I've talked with
Do we need an
Ann's.
exec session then, because we were on
No,
camera, so.
no, we're okay. No, I prepared before Ann left, I actually drafted an answer in new matter because I'm familiar with the facts more than, and that's common lawyer, business owner type of situation. You know your own facts better.
Yes.
So her office has that. I talked with her secretary today, in fact.
Okay.
And that'll be handled internally by them.
All right.
So,
We'll catch up with her next month then.
yeah.
Financial report. Sorry, John.
That's it. We'll do this on the fly, it's not a problem. You'll have a copy of it. If you adjust for, we have, because of some of the big projects we've been involved in, you've got capital projects that artificially inflate the total water or total sewer operating expenses. But the truth is, when you adjust for that, we're on budget. We're at 67%, 68% on both water and sewer operating expenses. We're a couple percent ahead on water fund revenues. We're a little over 69%. We should be at 67, 66, 67. And we're more than a little bit ahead on the sewer side. We're at 79% on the revenue side. So we're adjusted for capital expenses, we're on budget. Or a little bit ahead of the game. Now, we do have some cash flow issues, but that's because of
It's on the water side.
well, it's just generally because of the capital expenses. But the good news is, particularly, I want to remind people on this meter project in particular, we've set aside $2.5 million of more recent borrowing for that. So far, we're at $903,000. So depending on what the installation cost is, we should be in pretty good shape. Okay, so that's set aside. We don't have to worry about revenue issues regarding those capital expenditures. We're doing good. So far, so good. That's my financial.
Nothing outstanding just jumps out at you.
Any comments on that?
Nothing that I would tell you about. No.
That's right.
Okay. So, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman.
All right, go ahead and move on, John.
Well, you've got my executive director discussion, water and sewer. We talked about sewer. There's nothing
Yes.
really to talk about. On the water side, we've already talked about everything.
Yes.
I'm going to suggest that we consolidate motions 9A and 9B into one motion, as we discussed. And if you look, I started to sketch something out. Let me see if I can do it on the fly.
Go ahead and we'll listen to the wording.
The proposal would be a motion to accept the bid of Core and Main, then insert a CoStar's qualified vendor to provide census meters and AMI system in the amount of $903,367.95, subject to receipt, review, and approval of contract documents, semicolon, and,
So instead of installation bids, that comes off.
yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
Contract documents, semicolon, and receipt and approval of alternate CoStar's approved
Vendors? Is that what you're looking for?
vendor installation. Let's change that "and" to an "or." So it will be subject to receipt, review, and approval of contract documents or receipt and approval of alternate CoStar's approved vendor installation proposals.
Or public bid. CoStar's or public bid.
Yes.
Yeah, actually, that's a better way to do it.
Because I don't know if the installation will actually be covered under CoStar's.
CoStar's.
So we might be
Well,
public
that's the point.
bid
If
for the
it's not, then it's
installation.
going to be a bid installation.
Right.
So it'll be,
So better put both in there in the motion.
Yeah, just
Yeah. Cover it.
because there might not, like with CoStar, there may be several contractors, but, just to be on
Cover
the
it.
safe side, just let's put that, what
Yeah,
Bob
put
said,
yeah.
Public at
in
the end
there.
of it?
yeah, actually, I had the language, I think, I agree with you, Paul.
Yeah, I mean, I know we're doing this on the fly, but it's like,
I intended it to mean just that. but
Yes.
It didn't sound right. So
That's
it'll be
fine.
subject to receipt, review, and approval
never solve problems, I just create more.
of contract documents, semicolon, and receipt, review, and approval of either public bid or CoStar's approved vendor installation proposals.
Yes. Do you like that? Jane, Debbie,
Yeah.
Ted?
We're good?
I'll read it again. And receipt, review, and approval of public bids or CoStar's approved vendor installation proposals.
Okay.
Let's work. Is that significant change to open public comment, or are we good?
Just-
There's one person here for public comment.
How about that, Dave?
No comment, thank you. Okay, we're good, we're covered.
All right.
Yeah, the
I'm never
money's,
sure when we change the wording of motion.
No, I understand.
When we don't. but
Right, right.
We just
basically
combined
combining the
those two.
two.
If you need, I've got it. I got it here if you need.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you want a motion in?
We're asking for a motion.
he, he read the motion, just asked for
Just call the
a
motion.
call for the
Yeah.
motion.
Right.
Need a motion, anybody need a, I'll move it. We need to say-
Okay, hold on, John will read it, and then I'll ask for the motion.
Okay.
Just for the public record.
Okay.
You're good.
Go ahead,
The
John.
motion is to accept the bid of Core and Main, a CoStar's qualified vendor, to provide census meters and AMI system in the amount of $903,367.95, subject to receipt, review, and approval of contract documents, semicolon, and receipt, review, and approval of public bids or CoStar's approved vendor installation proposals.
Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second. Can I have a voice vote, please, Beth?
Ms. Berger?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Motion passes. Okay,
Back to John.
I guess that was our unfinished business. I mean, we've been talking about this for a few months now, so we'll move on. Do we have any new business?
Does John have anything else on his report?
I do not.
Okay, authority board members, any comments, concerns?
Yeah, moving forward with staffing and reconfiguration and whatever, are you wanting things in place
Oh,
beginning of year or
I'll tell you
titles
what,
or whatever?
I
Do we
can-
need an exec personnel? 'Cause
As
we're not
far as
talking about-
what, the downstairs
The downstairs
office between
administrative
Borough
office,
and the MMA? Is
Not
that's what
between
you?
the borough, just the restructuring of the MMA. We've had a retirement and.
Oh, okay,
also looking at
okay,
what he
I
wants to
see.
do with the staff.
Well, I can tell you publicly what I propose.
Okay.
And I don't think I don't think they are action items for tonight.
Right, but it's
But I
nice
can
to
tell
kind of
you-
let us know what you're thinking.
Well, no, obviously with the retirement of Joan, we need to replace her position and work. I basically moved Beth Hawes into that position. My plan is to prepare and present to you a new job description for that position,
Right.
which I
There will be a change in title.
which
Okay,
which
just
I
make sure you
propose
know
to,
that.
which I
Right.
propose to identify as the executive administrator. And the reason for that is that I believe that the referring to the position as the assistant executive director sort of mischaracterizes what the nature of it is. I've actually already prepared a draft one, and if you'd like to, I can send it to you, not tomorrow, but next week. It's done, a draft of a job description for that position. Now, the reason I don't want to get too crazy about formalizing this at this moment is because it really should be part of a more comprehensive change to the management structure and flow. But this is important to do now because we have retirement, and I'm replacing that person with someone else that is in-house. So the executive administrator position, it will be full-time. I have a job description for it. I've spoken with Beth about it, I've offered it to her, she's accepted it. The point is that for the time being, she can't do it full-time until after the first of the year. We're fine with that, we can manage
Part of
that.
the new budget.
We can manage that. Frankly, we're gonna save some money between now and the end of the year because of Joan's salary.
Right.
Let's see, the one other thing I proposed that I want to start doing promptly, and I don't need an executive session, but you can give me the consensus of the board on this if you want. We need to have at least one other person all the time who knows how to do some of the things that all of us do. Joan and Beth both have been, Beth has been cross-trained in everything Joan has done up to this point. And so when Joan's not available, we've always had Beth available to take care of payroll, bookkeeping, receivables, payables, banking. It's a long list of stuff that position is responsible for. It is indeed a management position, it's not a clerical position. So what I propose to do is to hire somebody on a half-time basis.
Half-time or part-time?
Well,
What's the difference?
Well, it's part-time.
Part-time,
Okay.
part-time, half-time.
It'll be 25 or fewer hours per
Hours,
week.
yeah.
It'll be a non-exempt employee, it'll be an hourly employee, no particular benefits to the position, but somebody who basically is skilled in accounting or bookkeeping practices, business management practices, that can be cross-trained in the things that Beth's position does. Because if something happens to her, I don't know where the checkbook is. Okay, that's the bottom line. I can't steal money, I don't know where it's at. So,
Stop it.
No, I mean, seriously, I mean, we've got people that know how to do, we have
Right.
clerical folks. but,
Yes.
And I have to take into account the fact that we have one other senior clerical staff member who, a year or two down the road, may be looking at retirement. Now, that's one of the benefits of the Edmunds system, is that it's going to not automate, but it's going to computerize or streamline some of the manual work that's been done up to this point. It is dumbfounding how much work is done manually, how much data entry is done just manually by Nancy and Joan and Beth still. That's all got to change. So we really have to have at least 2 or 3 people that are also being trained in the Edmunds system, okay?
So the bottom line is we will still have 4 individual chairs, but still remain at the 3 full-time.
Basically, we have 3 full-time salaries.
Okay,
Now,
so there's no change in the total, it's just a restructuring of function.
basically, and look, I mean, we can discuss that as we move forward.
Right, I just wanted, if somebody said we're into the October and the budget's come in and the person has retired, just kind of so the board knows what the direction you want to go in.
Yeah, well, we can do that. There was something else.
That was a 5,000 point thing or something.
5,000 foot view, yeah. There was one other thing I wanted to talk about. What was it?
Water, sewer,
Retirement. Jones' retirement party's tomorrow, everybody's coming, right? Okay.
Yes.
thought it was the 26th.
No, it's tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night. I'm going to
At
get that on
6.
myself.
That's not what I was going to tell you, though.
I'm glad that you did, because I have 2 things I actually have in reverse, so I don't want to go to the wrong place tomorrow night.
Where is it?
Where's Joe?
54 Club?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Studio
That's
54.
54.
I like that name, though. That sounds good.
New York?
Yeah.
I'm not going.
I'll pick you up at
Okay.
4 o'clock. Not in the morning, in the
I
afternoon.
remember.
Oh, good.
Maybe it's not Alzheimer's.
Dementia.
I'm going to, sometime in the next, probably 2 weeks, I'll try to do it sooner than later, but I'm going to try to get a draft budget out to you to look at.
Awesome.
Okay? So before not the day before, sometime before the November meeting, you'll have a draft budget you can look at. Just, I don't know that we'll need to move on it in November, but you'll have it so that you can ask questions about it or complain about it or make proposals about it.
Right.
So that by December, we'll be in good shape for a
Yes.
final budget.
Well, I mean, we usually are. I mean, you're touching base with Peter and,
The budgeting process is a little bit more streamlined than the borough has to go through, but it's still a lot of stuff to get
Yes.
in line. So we'll have a draft for you before the November meeting. If you want to have a session at that point, we can. to talk
Workshop?
about it. Yeah, if you want.
If-
We can
I
do a-
mean-
We can do a workshop. There may be personnel issues, contract issues to discuss, in which case we can do that as a executive session, but we can cross that bridge when we get to it. I just wanted to let you know that I was going to have that for you before the next meeting. That's what I wanted to tell you.
okay, thank you, John. Any other comments or concerns from the board? All right, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.